We are live. Or, well, not really live streaming, but still. Welcome to Amestris Audio. I am Quint, aka Steve, and this is Cam Man, or Kata, or however you pronounce your name.
Kata Kanata, bro. Hello. Hello.
What's
I'm
that a
Kata
reference
Kanata,
to?
bro.
I've always wondered that.
Well, okay, here's the thing. It's actually implied somewhat with Chainsaw Man, but I did not intend that. It
Really?
was just a random name I thought of, and then
Interesting.
it just ended up being like
It kind of just stuck with
something from
you.
Chainsaw Man. Well, it was just like I didn't know that was from Chainsaw Man until like I looked it up, and I was just like, I'll just keep it anyway. I mean, I'm not like the biggest Chainsaw Man fan or anything, but hey,
Okay,
I mean,
okay, I
I
got it.
don't
I
mind
have to
it.
tell you this because you mentioned Chainsaw Man. I do not get the Makima love. She's the control devil. Like, why are people simping over the freaking control devil? She's evil and everyone knows it. Like, does everyone want to be stepped on? It feels like every single waifu everyone has is always the strong female. And if I'm being real here, Makima ain't it. But that's just me though.
See, when I read it, I didn't think she was anything to write home of it. So,
Well, hey, maybe if season two comes out, God, I still have to see Chainsaw Man. I still have to I've only watched like a couple episodes,
um,
but I've heard the stuff, and I don't know. It seems like a bit of an oddball series. And don't get me wrong, I love a good oddball series. I mean, this is coming from the guy whose guilty pleasure is Wild Arms Twilight Venom. Like, can't get much more odd than that, but still.
and and like the thing about it is that only only the contents of like the first 30 chapters have been adapted, and those are like the weakest ones. So it's like it's it's kind of like there's a lot of
You want to
series that
see
get like
more because
hype.
there is potential, but they're just waiting. And you know what it is, man. You know what it is. It's
But
fucking Berserk all over again. The anime has only adapted the Golden Age arc, thus cheating any anime watchers out of the demon fighting action that Berserk is known for. Like, look, I get it. I get it. The Golden Age arc is a prequel, flashback, prologue done right. I get it. But there's only so many times I can see the Griffith betrayal in the eclipse before I just start kind of yawning.
hmm,
Like, I love Berserk, I really do, but I do not like how the Golden Age arc is getting all the favorites treatment. Like, I just want to see the fights with the Apostles and the God Hand. Enough of this goddamn stalling. And I get it, the author died. I get it. Still, I still want to see content.
well, when you adapt, like I just like you're gonna like hype up the series to me and be like, oh yeah, well, you got like season one, and I'm like, it's just like, how am I supposed to do that when only the weakest chapters are going to be
Yeah, it's like I
adapted?
can see the potential, sure, but like I need if that's the thing, it's potential. It's not the same thing as results. Like potential leads to results, but until the results are there, I don't feel confident in giving high scores or favorable ratings because I can't judge content that hasn't been adapted yet.
Hmm.
I mean, sure, Chainsaw Man season one, I'm sure I'll enjoy when I fully finish it, but like, there's always just that feeling of wanting more. This is actually one of the problems I have with a lot of modern series, or not even just modern series. Like, this is why I've been very hesitant to get into new animes because I really hate it how none of them seem to have good stopping points. I mean, there's a few exceptions. I mean, Demon Slayer, we're literally recording this to pass the time while we wait for the last episode of Swordsmith Village to release. That's actually one of the reasons why we're doing this. But like so many animes just do not have good stopping points. Even ones I do like Rising of the Shield Hero, like okay, there's good stopping points there, sure, but it still feels a little weird. There's always that feeling of just wanting more content. I mean, ReZero, again, I love ReZero, really I do. I'm so looking forward to season 3, but I want there to be a good stopping point, and I have really bad gut feeling that there's not going to be a good stopping point after season three. And that's a shame too, because I hear season three is like all battles, and I fucking love action. I am the biggest sucker for action in anime I know.
Ye-
Well, anyways, we've used this 5 minutes to just talk about random stuff. Let's actually get to the actual meat and the meat of this video, the Cornello arc of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. How many times have we talked about episode not Brotherhood? Blah. What am I saying? The Cornello arc of Fullmetal Alchemist 03. How many times have we recorded a video like this? I'm genuinely wondering.
Don't worry, don't worry. We're nearly past that point. We're nearly past the point where we can
Yeah,
just
like
go
this
episode
right here
three.
has got to be the last time we talk about this
It will
episode because
be.
we want to
It,
talk about
it
the rest
will
of the
be.
series.
It will be. Don't worry.
All
Don't
right.
worry. And this time it's going to be different since we're doing it in sections or arcs this time around.
Yeah, we're doing this so like we're covering more content per video. We're not just doing episode by episode like the WATV 5-hour marathon I made. God help that video. I had good jokes in that video, but that is how not to write a review, and I will readily admit that.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, since we're here, we might as well talk about the intro, Melissa, seeing as it's the first intro you're gonna see. We could squeeze that in there. He goes out of his way to hum it. Okay, Katakonbro. Cat, a can, bro. Cat. I'm a cat. I'm a cat boy. I'm literally a cat boy.
Believe me,
Okay.
the more drunk this podcast is, the better.
Hey, what do you mean by drunk? I don't need to be drunk. I'm just crazy.
Hey, Bill, I'm halfway there right now. I'd say.
Do you actually drink? I'm genuinely curious.
No.
It's so funny. I've actually tried. You may have noticed on my, oh my god, on my freaking Key of the Starry Heavens rant video, I actually tried drinking whiskey, but I mixed it with Coke because I did not like the taste of it. That's the thing. Like, I can't drink because I don't like the taste.
Yeah. I just,
Rip
I
my
just
picky
don't drink
eating
'cause,
taste
like,
buds.
I don't drink because of like the impacts it has on the body, right? Like I want one bit of that and I'm sick.
But yeah, Melissa, what do you think about that? I'm just gonna call you Cam Man because that's always the nickname I've given you, Cam Man. Like, what are your thoughts on Melissa? I know it has been a while, and your thoughts
I
probably
will
have
say by
changed since
the
last time. But I am
I
genuinely
will
curious.
I will say by the way, you're still free to use that, but I do actually prefer Kata.
Okay, I'll try. I'll just say Kata bro, Kata man. Okay, I'll just stick with. You know what? I'll just go Kata Con bro, just because that's easier and that's what's on the screen in front of me. It'll take some getting used to. It'll take some getting used to. Like how it took me a while to stop using the M word. You know the one I'm talking about. It takes a while to break these habits.
Hey, well, sorry, you asked me a question. What was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Melissa, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, obviously garbage intro, 0 to 10. No.
Wow.
It's very stylistic. I love it's very stylistic, no shit. But like the desert, right? I'm like very cool, and like the actual name of Melissa is like I think it fits it perfectly as well, It's like
Oh yeah, you sure love those CGI hills, don't you?
oh yeah, okay. So if there's any show I don't care for as much as I do, I have grown to love that intro again. By the way, I really do love that intro, but I still can't look past the clips to be honest.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. CGI has been something that's always received the sharp end of the stick in anime. I mean, Berserk 2016 and all that. I get it. However,
Hmm.
I'm a little more forgiving on the CGI hill since, okay, to be fair, this was 2003 anime, so they're gonna cut it somewhere. And to be fair,
Mhm.
At the very least, it's just a landscape shot. Like if they had the characters walking over those CGI hills, that would look dumb as fuck. So at least it was just a landscape
Dude,
shot.
imagine that. Like, actually imagine.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would be like that would not age very well. And it's actually really funny because like wait, you know what I compared a lot to? I compared a lot to the Mugen train itself from Demon Slayer. I mean, the train itself was CGI in Demon Slayer. People weren't necessarily complaining about that. I mean, at least I hope they wouldn't be. Demon Slayer already
well,
has pretty banging animation
well,
as
I
is.
mean, I
Hmm?
think the CGI Vision train looks great.
Yeah, but I mean, like I view it in the same in a similar vein, where it's used for like the land in the background, not exactly like for like actual characters and animation. So, and to be fair, the CGI of the room with the circle drawn on the floor, that one looks fine. So, I'm willing to
That one,
overlook it. Huh?
I will say though, I do actually defend the circle one. I don't actually mind the circle one, by the way. Like, I saw people complain about that, and I've just been like, really?
Yeah,
I'm
like it's
just.
not that bad. I mean, the hills are definitely a more guilty example because at least you can tell those are CGI.
Yeah, yeah. So like Melissa also like banger song by the way, banger song. Love the song. Like,
Funny story, actually. Just to very quickly see this. When he told me the name of the band, I'm all like, "What?" And because like you said, the name of the band is Porno Graffiti, and I'm all like, "Wait, pornography?" You're like, "No, that's the name of the band." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And this is like the first time you showed this
oh
to
yeah,
me, and I was all like, "Oh, that is certainly a band name there."
oh yeah. That band has a great track record. By the way, they sound really, really
Really? Do
good.
they? Is there
Like,
any other things they've appeared in that I would know of?
I'm trying to remember,
I
but
mean, you
they're
don't have to say it
definitely
now since it is a
important.
bit of an off
In
topic.
fact,
You
one of them. I'll say one of them. They did the first opening of My Hero Academia.
Oh, I haven't seen that,
That was a
but
really
in
good
due
one, actually.
time.
Again,
All right.
I was just mentioning offhand that
No,
was a
no,
really
it's
good
fine.
one.
Hey, it's good to know. It gives me stuff to look forward to when I inevitably take the plunge into toxic fan base, the anime. As for
uh,
my thoughts on Melissa, since I might as well say them, I think it's a good intro too. I mean, I'm really not expecting them to like. I am not expecting Garenge, however you pronounce Demon Slayer opening one. I'm not expecting them to like make it an absolutely banging song. And for a 2003 anime opening, and its first opening, mind you, I think it's actually pretty solid. I mean, there is enough to appreciate about it. The song does have this I don't know how to describe it, but like if I was just like running in the field doing like cuz I used to do track and cross country in high school. I feel like this is the sort of song I'd listen to while I go on a very athletic run through the field. That's what I feel like I would listen to. It's got a
also,
really big open, just like there's a big world, get out there. It's got that kind of feeling I really like.
also, the intro makes it feel grand too because it feels like a journey, like they're going through
Yeah, it
multiple
feels like, you know
different
what, you're exactly right. It feels like the start to a grand adventure, which, let's be real,
places.
Fullmetal Alchemist certainly is.
Yeah, and I would even say so for all three. Like, yes, it's on a smaller scale, but that doesn't mean what they aren't doing is a lot substantially, different a lot of the time. They're still moving to a lot more,
Yeah, and I
areas.
mean,
And
really, that's just for like the latter portions of O3. The first portion, like the first half of O3 is pretty faithful, if I'm being honest. Like, I know there's all the source material purists, but I've never been picky about that. I literally made a Naruto classic arcs tier maker with fillers included. I defend fillers as much as
like
probably you do. So, like spread the word. Fillers can be good. Or
the thing
non-exclusive
about
content.
it, the thing about it also is that even though yes, technically a lot of it is like relatively faithful, it's also like it, its own thing. Like you can't really view it in the same way you view mangahood because
Yeah,
they're
it's called an
entirely different
anime
stories.
adaptation for that reason. The emphasis is on the word adaptation. An adaptation is not gonna be note for note.
And also, absolutely essential context before discussing anything all three. I always have to mention this. it was planned from the very start. There are scenes early on that are very different for a reason. They
Yeah, like
thought about this
Lyra in the
beforehand.
mining episode, like it's clear this was like you're right. They probably knew they did not have enough manga content to work with, and you even said that the writer, the original writer had like contributed or at the very least oversaw like Dante and all
Gave
that.
them as her, she also gave them her blessing as well.
Yeah, so
And
like it's clear, that like, and honestly, I think not a lot of people are giving O3 enough credit here because like, for something that's straight from the source material, it actually turned out pretty freaking good if I'm being honest. I mean, this isn't a Kamega kill where they removed the Wild Hunt arc and killed off two characters who live in the manga. Fuck a Kamega kill, by the way. Like, look. I love the animation. I think there is a genuinely interesting story to be told, but the anime, even the manga, I do not know what they were thinking. Like, Akame ga Kill, I know people say, oh, I don't like characters with plot armor. Well, Akame ga Kill is an experiment in plot armor gone wrong, and it shows why I firmly believe plot
yeah,
armor is a necessary evil. Because if you just kill characters left and right, it kind of takes away from the special feeling. Like, people are
yeah, you
crying
need
over
to,
Rengoku's death in Mugen Train because Rengoku was a really freaking likable character. I don't think many people
yeah,
are crying over Shell, who died within like the first 5 episodes, and they're treating it like Mammy's death and Madoka Magico. And I'm like, guys, we barely got to know this character. It's not that sad.
yeah. I think you should definitely like try to earn it in some way rather than just having it happen out of like left field.
It's like you have to
Um,
earn it. You have to earn drama and character deaths. This is the
yeah.
same thing as
Um,
Evangelion. You have to earn dark
also,
elements. Don't just slap them at the start of the story and
yeah.
expect me to care. Get me to care about the characters before you make bold decisions like that.
I want to mention one of the reasons why I like FMA 2003 so much, and like because of the genre, all three is basically like a different genre focus from Brotherhood because Brotherhood is more like a you could say battle shonen mixed with some like heartfelt and serious dialogue.
It's
Uh,
most definitely like honestly, both series are very action oriented, though the scale of action is definitely very different.
yes, because like all three is a lot more, like
It's a lot more character
a lot
driven.
more, yeah. And I think that all three, okay, because the genre is more on the drama focus. Here's the thing, right? Like I'm very into that genre in specific because I'm like, uh, if because I just generally find that kind of serious thing. Like,
You
for
know,
example,
I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but this might be a bit of a loose comparison, but it's a lot like Code Geass in essence. Now, I know you may disagree with me on this, and it's totally valid, but Code Geass, like, okay, yes, is there fighting in Code Geass? Yes, there's the big war going on. However, if I'm being honest, Code Geass is more remembered for its characters and what they stand for. And sure, there is fighting in Code Geass, but honestly, I don't remember a lot of the fights in Code Geass because they're mostly with generic mecha
mm,
soldiers. So the
yeah,
selling point of both O3 and Code Geass is most certainly the characters. That might be a bit of a loose comparison, but just something I wanted to point out.
yeah. Oh, I get it. But like, I think just like with drama's a very personal thing for me because I'm like, as someone who has that kind of thing a lot. Like sometimes, right? Like for example, if something's happening near me, well, it's serious. Yes, I'm tense, but but I'm
Empathy.
also
You empathize.
well. Here's the thing: I'm also entertained at the same time. Like I'll happily grab out the popcorn for it. I'm like, yeah,
Romeo with what? Romeo. I'm sorry, I had to make a
yeah.
Shakespeare joke.
It's just like, and it's just like I like tense situations because I'm like,
Like
I
it
it
knows how
just
to hook you. You
yeah.
you start to care because you're like, oh damn! Like it gets your
Yeah,
attention.
yeah, and it keeps me in the moment. so like that's so it's like that's part of why I feel like I'm very like you know a very all free kind of guy.
It's one of the
And
reasons
I think
why I
that's a
really
large
like
part of
Devil May Cry's anime too, because like with Patty and Dante, like Devil May Cry's anime is not as action oriented as the games, but the characters in the Devil May Cry anime are just really good. I really like Patty Lowell. Yeah, hell, she has the same voice actress as Rosette from Chrono Crusade, and she plays both characters excellently.
Yep.
It's another reason
Yeah.
why I like Full Metal Panic. Full Metal Panic has fights in it, but the drama is actually
Oh
really good
yeah.
too.
That's a cool series.
Like honestly, like I think Kaname and Sosuke are one of the most like interesting romantic ships I've seen in anime because they're polar opposites, but they get along really well because the other one has something that they need. I mean, Sosuke, he's like hardened military, veteran for Mithril, but he's having to blend in with a normal high school. And Kaname is quite literally the most normal person he's ever met or personally gotten to know. Whereas Kaname, with her whispered power after the first 4 episodes, she has to learn she's not normal anymore. She has to defend herself from the amalgam, the people who are trying to like get the information out of her brain or whatever. And that's why she goes to Sosuke because she knows that both A, he can protect her, and B, he can also show her how to be strong. Like this is a really good idea for these two characters, and I just wish Invisible Victory did not end on such a cliffhanger. I really want to see the next season if it ever happens.
Huh.
I keep getting distracted. Sorry. Well, okay, let's talk about the Cornello arc itself now, starting with
Try not
episode.
to worry about it, Quint. There will probably be well, just like throw in time. I'll throw in timestamps for you. I can easily just do that.
All right, fair enough. I mean, so far the recording has only been like 22 minutes so far, and our other videos were like just 40 minutes of just talking about one episode. So I guess we're making decent time.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah, let's go ahead and start talking
So
about the Cornell arc
keep in
now,
mind,
since we've only talked about the intro and we're
keep in
22
mind,
minutes in.
Quint. Yeah, I know. But keep in mind, right? It's not too big of a deal if we get things like not perfect right off the
Yeah,
bat. Like,
like it's okay. This is a podcast. We're doing this for
yeah,
the sake of chilling and because we're trying to pass time.
I wanna.
Swordsmith Village's last episode to come out, so I guess we'll make the most of the time we have. Okay,
Well, I'm
so
just kind of
episode
chilling
one.
here.
So do you
Right.
want me to start up, or would you rather start by opening up?
Well, you see, Cornello does does very bad things. I don't like him.
Using religion for influence and conquest, it's not exactly a very likable thing. Wait, you know what Cornello reminds me of? You know who Cornello reminds me of? He reminds me sort of Mosgus from Berserk, religious figure who's using power for, selfish means, and he's got a bit of oh my god, oh my god, oh my freaking god. It is kind of surprising that I'm making this comparison, but like, like Cornell is like on the podium, all like, God will save us all. Oh, I'm being the priest guy, the hero you want me to be. And then when he's in with his office and he has Ed captured, he's all like, ignorant heathens, you'll know the might of Joshi.
Yeah.
I made it. I'm comparing freaking Cornello to Hedan. My God, what does my brain come
Yeah.
to?
Yeah, I don't think Cornello's quite on that sadistic level.
Ignorant heathens! Jashin will have his vengeance. He'll punish you for this. You'll know the most powerful judgment by the way of Jashin! You and your god don't frighten me. Like, God, Shikamaru is a total Chad. Like, honestly, I
Yeah,
fucking love Akatsuki Suppression. And Shikamaru really just won me over. I mean, I already loved him. I already loved him for Chunin exams and Sasuke retrieval, but Akatsuki Suppression just solidified him as best boy. Just no
yeah.
one is changing my mind on
I mean, nor should it.
that.
But
Well,
so like Cornello does stuff, and
Well, I mean, before we talk
Carl
about
and
Cornello, I gotta say this because this is this is I know we've always talked about the scene of them at like the Radio Shack or whatever, them walking around. I don't know if I'm just okay. I know O3 is not as comedy centric as Brotherhood, but the scene where they're all like, "Oh, you're Full Metal because you're like in the armor," and I was like, "But I'm not the Full Metal Alchemist. He is." And they're like, "What, that little shorty?" And Ed's like, "Shorty!" And he just grabs him and he's just whirling him around. He's literally doing
that
Zangief's
is
lariat from like Street Fighter. It's fucking hilarious.
okay. So I know that people like Goat Jesus have criticized that scene, but I will say I actually think it's really cool. I actually like. Okay, yeah, I can see why it would be obnoxious, but
I mean,
I
like, it
don't
is
really
very sudden, but like,
like
that's kind of the thing with jokes.
like.
They're meant to be sudden.
But at the same time, I think it works because like the creative energy of just the shot is actually well earned, and
Yeah, and like, if anything, I think the whole shorty gag is like that's the thing. It's a foil for Ed, one that Ed like wants to personally get over. And for as simple as being short, like as like a weakness or like a foil is, I can't deny it's both used for some good comic relief and also for a bit of a good personal thing. Like I feel like Ed almost sort of views his shortness almost like his way of not being able to do the right thing with the alchemy and all that. Like, I think it's actually a lot deeper than that. Sure, it is used for comedy, but like, it also is a bit of a physical portrayal of Ed's personal status. And I think that's something a lot of people might overlook.
yeah,
Of course, though, I mean, we see Cornello. He's got the ring with the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone was very differently interpreted in O3 and Brotherhood. Like, that's one thing that is, like, the context slash, like, utility of the Philosopher's Stones was very different in O3, I'll admit. However, in the case of these two episodes, it's probably about the same as it was in Brotherhood. I mean, Cornello's using it, to trick people, make a holy gathering and all that. Ed and Al know that it's complete BS. Um, there's actually just a lot of it's just for the first episode, and this might sound weird because I usually say first episodes should like really open up, possibly even with like action to hook ya. I really like it how this episode it gets my attention without a need for like a massive focus on fights or battle scenes. It has a lot of good, quiet, subtle downtime moments, while also giving you the feeling of something's not right here, and that's a pretty rare compliment I can give because usually my favorite first episodes in animes are the ones that have giant freaking fight scenes or just plainly awesome moments that make me want to see more. Gun X sword. But this episode just is really good at being both like meaningful in the content that's there while also making me want to see more.
yes. Um.
Yes.
So is that your point then? Okay.
Yeah, that's my point. I know, I'm rambling, sorry.
So no, it's fine. I was just wondering if there was an entry. So like, okay. So one thing I did notice is that episode one. You know how it starts off like relatively, like, it's just kind of like you're in a random location to the average person that would watch it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Um,
Ed and Al are literally just screwing around in the desert in the first couple
yeah,
seconds.
I like that because the reason why I like it in No Freeze case is because, well, you get the backstory in like episode three, so it's like episode one. I feel not starting off with just their origins. I think is really cool
Yeah,
because
it
it's like
leaves
you have.
interesting questions. Like I said, it
I
leaves you wanting
think
to see more.
because like I think it makes you think it's like, oh well, who are these characters? And you not getting the context right away kind of leaves more room for questions, which I actually think is a good thing since it
Yeah,
builds
and you get to
intrigue.
know Ed and Al in the moment before finding out their backstories, which, it kind of
Yes,
helps in letting you see them in two different ways. Like,
yes,
both as someone who didn't know their backstory, and when you do see it, when you do actually know that in mind. Like, it actually helps make these characters more three
and
dimensional.
you also get like subtle development for them throughout Cornello to like make sure that they're their screen time is meaningful, that to the point where like it's somewhat followable. You get an idea for who they are,
Yeah.
and when you get it, which I think does turn out in a very interesting way.
Yeah. And
Um,
like this episode also, like, it's kind of funny. It reminds me a lot of actually, man, maybe it's a bit too loose of a comparison, but what I really like about this episode is it leaves breadcrumbs. I think you've told me that before, where it leaves
yeah.
breadcrumbs, things for you to notice even on like repeat watches. I mean, for both episodes 1 and 2, I mean, lust at the at the Radio Shack, envy taking over Carnelo's form following his defeat. The
The
Philosopher's Stone, breaking and
um,
mutating his arms. There's actually a lot of little details that when you think back to this episode, even after finishing the series, that makes it a little bit more interesting in retrospect.
something I've noticed is that on recent rewatches is that Lust shows up like a lot early on, where she's just kind of like she's just it's kind of like where's Lust? It's like a where's Waldo, but instead it's Lust. It's
She's
like
like, and that's the thing. She's in the background. She's like Zetsu. She's always watching. You really wonder what's going on with her. Like,
right.
I know it's a bit weird to compare Lust to Zetsu, but the way Lust is just kind of casually observing with a smirk, it really does give me Zetsu vibes.
Yeah.
I keep making Naruto comparisons. First, I compared Cornello to freaking Hidan, and now I'm comparing Lust to Zetsu. God, what's my brain doing?
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean, they,
agree.
they are interesting analogies, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, do what you want.
Yeah. Well, and I know I said in our previous videos that I feel like episode 2 sort of was like a little bit of a letdown. I mean, I don't think episode 2 is even that bad. I mean, it's a decent follow up. However, I do think
Hmm.
episode 1 was more like decently structured with its screen time, as well as the fact that if I'm being honest, the whole statue like climax, for what is
So,
effectively meant to be Cornello's entire empire falling before him. I don't know. You might disagree with me on this one, but I kind of prefer it in Brotherhood where Ed actually fought Cornello. I mean, it was brief. He turned into a monster briefly, sure, but I felt like that was much more of a direct confrontation. I do think the statue is like it's interesting symbolism for sure. I mean, the whole like there is some poetic justice in this. Like the god you worship shall
hmm,
pass judgment on you. I get that's what they were trying to go for. I don't know though. I felt like they could have
the
had a more direct confrontation like they did in Brotherhood. Even though I will admit, I think that this version of the Cornello plotline is better than Brotherhood's, mainly because O3 dedicated it to 2 episodes, and the fact that it opens up with the Cornello plotline when you don't know anything, whereas in
so
Brotherhood they do it after the flashback. So it's a little bit less atmospheric, I guess. I don't know how quite to
I have
describe it.
things I have things to say about it in Brotherhood, but anyway, um, we're already on episode 2, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about episode 1 quite a lot, I mean,
Well, okay, I'll bring it back if it's relevant, but
yeah, like, since
I
this is
just,
a video dedicating both parts of the Cornello plotline, like, if we need to
I
double back
just,
just a little bit, we can. So,
I
yeah, sorry,
just,
go ahead. I know I'm interrupting
I'm
you a
a
lot.
little, I, I just, I don't know. I mean, uh, with like, okay, so with how FMAO3 does it, okay, here's the thing I have with episode 2. I rewatched it recently, by the way, um, with my friend and my other friend, and
So,
it
not
was,
Glenn, then.
no, him is what I meant, yeah.
Oh, okay, because I was like, oh, man.
uh,
Because I know you usually watch with Glenn. I'm like, oh,
but
you have another friend?
by other friend I meant not you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I meant the friend who I have who's not you. So okay, anyway. Um, so what was I gonna say? So okay, so episode 2, it was better than I remembered. I will say actually. Although not by like a massive margin. It's more just like yes, this is definitely a good episode. one thing I did notice though is that even though I was getting more on fine with the plot details this time around, I'll be honest, I don't really mind the statue stuff. I don't mind
Yeah,
how
like it's a
like
different interpretation. And that's the
that.
thing. Different is not the same thing as bad. I mean, I don't want this to be a comparison contest. Oh, three this, broho that. I fully accepted the fact that these are two different adaptations. They're using that word again.
Well,
And the
the
statue
thing is,
finale still works from a contextual standpoint.
this is why I'm not bringing up Brotherhood as much as you because I'm like I just want to focus on all three right now.
Gosh. And
So
after I just said I try and refrain from making this a comparison contest, it's just because it's
don't
easier for
get me
me to.
wrong, by the way.
Uh,
You can compare it. You can compare it. That's fine.
okay, like obviously I'm
I'm just
gonna be
saying, like,
comparing it inevitably, but I'm gonna try and like
yeah,
do my best to like not do it because like here's the thing, I feel like comparing is an
yes,
easy way for like it's a good tool for like reviewing, but there's also wrong ways to use comparison. So that's why I'm trying to like
definitely,
use as little as I can because I want to avoid being
yeah,
a hypocrite.
yeah. No, like I've had that happen. Like I'm guilty of that myself. Sometimes. But anyway, so
Ironclad
like,
sucks.
so like, but yeah, no, like I can look past some of the plot holes, which there definitely are a few in episode two. I don't know why O3 decided to add a scene where like she's serving Ed, like she's kind of
I, I
just just
I've
some
always
kind
took
of
it as like Cornello was making her do that to uphold the oh all are equal in the eyes of
like why would
God.
Cornello do that though? Like
I
it's
don't
just
know,
kind
probably
of
because he was trying to keep an eye on her. Maybe he suspected, like she like maybe he had like suspected, she was like onto him and she had both him and her and Ed close by. So like if she tried something he could dispose of her. I don't know. I'm not a wicked cultist like Cornello is.
but it just I don't know. I feel like the plot point is like uh well we'll just have that because it's just the most convenient thing at that moment. That's how it's always felt to me.
Yeah, they probably didn't
Um,
want to make a totally randomly drawn butler character to serve Ed, I guess. Animation's expensive.
but yeah, so like I'm just like so the actual problem I have with episode two, enough beating around the bush. The actual problem I have with episode two is that the pacing. Okay, here's the thing. And yes, I will have to bring up Brotherhood this one time. Um, Brotherhood Brotherhood has a tendency to use fast pacing in a way where I don't feel for the scenes all that much. Um, this episode also tends to do that, where I'm like, here's the thing. It's not necessarily that issue. This is a little different since episode two has the issue of it goes in too fast, but I
Oh
can't
yeah, they
keep
really
it.
make the speed just unnaturally transition for like between
I
like the fight with the chimeras, then at like the bell
like
tower. The speed just
like
suddenly
okay,
just
like
yeah, sorry,
every
go ahead.
time I watch episode two, it's just hard to take it in because everything is all of a sudden like I get why like they want to make it so that that's the more eventful part of the arc, but I feel like it didn't work out too well because a lot of the scenes are just kind of
Like it's really
not
spontaneous.
like the scenes just aren't as good as they should be in a result, in my opinion. I don't think it went about it the best way since every scene I'm like, this was a little rushed. This
Yeah,
was a
like
little rushed.
I'll admit, I noticed that too. Episode two just felt faster.
Yeah, and
Like
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 here's the thing, like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's like faster pace, that automatically means it's better. And I would say the opposite. I would say that leads to a lot of things feeling rushed.
yeah, it's like I know. Here's the thing. I'm saying this as an action advocate in anime. Usually
I'm an
fast
action
pace.
advocate.
Yeah, fast pacing is usually something that is praised because people like flashy fight scenes. They don't like dawdling. But honestly, fast pacing isn't always a good thing. I mean, look at Aincrad from Sword Art Online. That shit is
Yeah,
way too
exactly.
fucking rushed. And yeah, it's fast paced. Does that make Aincrad good? Not even a little. So yes, there are perks to slow pacing. This is why build up and payoff exists. Build up
Yeah,
and
I actually have
payoff.
a good example of this. A better example than episode two paying off to episode one, because obviously, like I said, I don't think it quite worked out there.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
episode two is still
which is
fine in its own
actually
right, so it seemed like the build up of episode one just was
like
very quickly handled. Like the payoff was just sped through. Like they just shifted into like
like
first gear and sped down the fast lane, it felt like.
I'm about to bring up a better example of that. I feel because
Oh,
all three relatively is a slower paced anime. I feel where it's like it's not like slow or anything,
it's
but
not Paradise Life
it's
on a boat.
yeah, but it's like it's definitely towards the slower end, I would say, and I think um the better example of how to do it right would be how the entire series builds up to, and this includes the first half of Dante arc. Like when I say that, I mean like 32 through 40. 41, right? 41 through 51, I would say. Those are the ones that you see are a lot more fast paced, a lot more cliffhanger esque. And I think that is actually done pretty well because I'm like, yes, it's building up to so many things that is trying to pay off so many things. And,
There was a
well,
lot I really
you
liked in there.
kind
The
of,
fight with Roy and Old Man Pride, because yes, Bradley was Pride in '03. I actually really liked that fight. I mean, Roy and Pride fighting in a burning building. There's actually just a really good atmosphere during that fight.
yeah, and it feels a lot more, like invasion esque, like a lot more stuff
Yeah,
happens
and there was
where
like
it's like,
Frank Archer or whatever the mechanical guy's name was. Like there was a lot going on. It was chaotic, but in
yeah,
a good way. AKA
yeah.
not Search for Tsunade.
Yeah,
There's too much going on in that arc. I mean, Search for Tsunade opens up with the most hype scene with Itachi and Kisame the Akatsuki, one of the most famous villain organizations in anime. And I was really thinking this is when we were starting to get more of them. No, 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 no. Let's have Orochimaru come back and be the snake guy villain again. Like, oh my gosh. Like, what were they thinking with Orochimaru? What were they thinking?
yeah.
So
So
yeah, at least '03 gets chaos right. And chaos is a hard thing to write. It's hard to write chaos without feeling like something is gonna feel off, whether it be pacing, attention, focus, or whatever. But I think the chaos in the latter portion of '03 is really well written. It's a very organized chaos, if that makes any sense. Like the writers knew how to write a chaotic climax without it just being just blood and guts everywhere. Like it actually feels like there's a lot at stake. And okay, Brotherhood has that too, but with '03, because it was slower, it hits you way harder here because it's just a massive slap in the face. It makes the build up to this payoff feel way more worth it. That's just me though.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Also, there is one thing I feel like we skimmed out on in episode one, and that's the intro scene. The one about alchemy where they have the horror esque tension in the air, and the the chimera get all the the gore effects and
Ah, yes,
everything.
when they reanimate Trisha. It's like I said
Yeah,
in that video how I really like how in this video we don't actually get to see what the boys made. We're sort of just left to imagine like what like okay, we do get like a brief shot of like the hands or whatever, but like I really like it how we don't actually see what it was the boys produced. Like it gives you more of like it puts you, the viewer, in the position of Ed and Al because you're like, "Oh my God." Like there's just this really good tense fear in the air and you're thinking like what did these kids make? How would I have reacted? Like it's a good job to make you hook onto the characters. You latch onto them because you feel bad for them and that's only from just the opening scene. Like it's a really good way of just instantly grabbing your attention and making you realize, oh my god, these kids.
Yep. And also, in the chapel,
Oh yeah, the scene
um,
where he's like telling like Rose like, oh, the body is made up of these elements, blah 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 blah. That scene.
yeah, and the guy who shows up with a gun,
Oh yep, I remember that. Shoots off
which I
Al's
thought
head,
was
and
a
he's all
neat
like,
twist.
what?
Yep, yep, and like just everyone just progresses very, very well in that episode.
Yeah,
So
it's like the
like
episode really
and like
knows how
episode
to.
two,
Hmm?
so like in episode two, I feel like when you have that slow build up, it's like I get why this is faster. Again, I just don't think it went about it the best way because like when you have so many scenes scattered together like this, I do think the bird scene is pretty cool. By the way, the one in Cornello's,
Oh yeah, in the room where he like
little
reanimates the boyfriend, but it's not the boyfriend, it's the bird. Like that's actually pretty horrifying, if I'm being honest.
yeah. One thing I will say, by the way, who is this girlfriend? We don't we
No,
don't see who this
boyfriend. Rose is the girlfriend.
Sorry, no,
Nah, it's
I
fine, it's
meant
fine.
I
Rose isn't
accidentally
a
said that.
lesbian.
I accidentally said that
It's
boyfriend.
fine. I'm just teasing ya.
I
I'm
meant
just.
who is Rosie's boyfriend?
Did they even give him a name?
I, I think it does actually, but I like
It was like, was it like Dave? I don't know.
I can't remember. But either way, it's someone who just doesn't seem to. Well,
And that's
I
another
think
thing, actually. This is probably a very minor nitpick, but I wish we got to know more about Rose's boyfriend, since Rose makes a pretty big deal about him. I actually think maybe even just a brief flashback of seeing Rose and her boyfriend would help make Rose a
I
lot
think
more
it should have
sympathetic.
been.
Hey?
I think episode two should have had a backstory in it. I think it should have had Rosie's backstory. I
Yeah,
think
like
that's what
I mean, they
we
didn't
should have
need
had.
to like make like half of the episode a giant flashback, but it would be a lot. And it's not to say it isn't easy to sympathize with Rose as is, both in these two episodes and the rest of '03. Rose is a very different character in both adaptations. There I go again with the comparisons. But I think having knowing a bit more about her boyfriend and why Rose really wants him back
Yeah,
so badly would have really helped in both A, making you feel for her, and B, making you absolutely despise Cornello when you realize he just made a bunch of birds and is all like, oh yeah, I can't revive your boyfriend. Sorry, bitch. Like, jeez.
yeah, and I just think like if a backstory existed in the episode, I think that would really work out because like this series can be kind of like that at times, and also that
Yeah, and like because of the
uh,
first two
I
episodes,
think
I think
it
a
would.
backstory being placed here wouldn't be too outrageous.
No, I think it would be great because I think it would pace out the events much better. Like yes, it would be like
Yeah,
it'd
like
still
the
be
scene where
faster,
like
but
the scene where Al and Rose are on like the bell tower and he's talking with her. That would have been a perfect place to slip in a backstory. Rose can open up a little bit more. I feel like that would have
yes,
helped.
she should have opened up to Al because Al was the one who was considering his, like
Like I
she
feel like
was,
because Ed,
she was the
she
one having.
definitely isn't as like her impressions of Ed were not as favorable. But I think like Al, she was cool with Al.
Well, yeah, because like Al went out of his way to be nice to her, so it would make perfect sense if they squeezed a backstory in there.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't even need to
Um,
be that long. They could have even just spent like a
well,
simple two
honestly,
minutes,
like
and that would have actually
yo,
been a lot more interesting than just
yo,
speeding
yeah,
around the later scenes.
yeah, Quinn, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, 2 minute backstory. That is all you need.
Yeah, it's like there are other like take Demon Slayer. They show like 2 minute backstories in Demon Slayer, and they
A
work. I
lot.
mean,
They do.
for more or less, that is.
Most of them do. I would say.
Like honestly, I know I know that you criticize that one episode of Swordsmith Village, but honestly, despite that one episode, I think Muchiro the Mist Hashira's backstory is still really good.
No,
I
no,
think the
no, no,
main
no,
huh?
no. The part after that, I think, is bad. The part
Oh,
after that, I think, is bad. Not that part.
wait, hold on. Let me take a wild guess. You're probably disappointed that Upper Five was killed just like that, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'll admit. I feel like they definitely killed off Upper Rank 5 Gyoko a little too quickly. However, I won't lie when I say that, and I am in no way defending this. I was a little let down too. At least it kind of made sense. I mean, Gyoko was sort of arrogant anyways. He seemed to be the most emotionally vulnerable of the demons because he had his whole like, "Oh, I must have beautiful art," and Morichiro taking advantage of that to both, fluster him and land a decisive blow. That makes sense. I just wish it was like, I just feel like it seems a little bit anticlimactic. I mean, I get it. They probably want to demonstrate Morichiro was really powerful being a Hashira. They probably wanted to also demonstrate that Gyoko was not as strong as the other upper ranks. I get that. I will admit, though, I feel like they could have extended the battle just a little bit. Especially since he had, like, that new form with, like, the long tail, and it's dealt with in, like, 5 minutes. So much
See,
for your so much for the "this isn't even my final form" that Dragon Ball reference.
it's just like it made sense. I just thought it could have been more balanced.
Yeah,
But
and really, like, especially coming off of the backstory. Well, you know what? I'll have to see the last episode of Swordsmith when it comes out. Who knows? Maybe I'll see something. Maybe I'll feel relieved after that. But Swordsmith Village has been really good so far. I don't get why people are saying Swordsmith is mid.
oh
Like,
yeah, no, I like. Do not get me wrong, Quinn. By the way, see when I say that's not my favorite arc, keep in mind, right?
oh no,
Like
I'm not talking
I'm
about you.
s-
I've really looked on other sites and
no,
people are
no, no, no,
saying,
Quinn.
"Oh,
I get it. I get it. Believe me, I get it. I understand.
okay."
I know you're not talking about me. I know that. I'm trying to tell you something.
I believe you. I'm
I'm
chatty. I'm a
I'm
blabbermouth.
just saying that what was I gonna say? Like, here's the thing. Like, I saw Swordsmith Village hate post myself, and whenever I see them come up, I'm like, I don't know where these people are coming from because this arc was complete hype from mostly beginning to end. Like I said, I have problems later on, but nothing that breaks the arc or makes it
Yeah.
not great.
Like, sure,
Um,
Gyoko's fight may have been a little bit swiftly handled, but Hantangu. Come on, dude. Hantangu and his clones,
yeah.
he literally has the 6 paths of pain. No one is telling me that his
Oh,
power is basically not the 6 paths of pain.
also the love Hashira I think is actually pretty fire now that I think about it, especially
Honestly,
later on.
I had a very big feeling she's gonna be a fan favorite, and I can see why. She's really likable. I mean, she
Yeah, I
seems
was
both
kind
like
of
a nice
doubting her.
person as well as someone who does not like. This is the thing. I think the Love Hashra is a really good example of a strong female character who isn't
Mhm,
a bitch. Like, this is
mhm.
so refreshing. Like, it's not Urza
Like Asuna
Scarlet,
and Anna
it's not
Crab.
Integra Helsing, it's not Faye Valentine.
Yo,
We have a strong
yo,
female character who's actually
Quinn,
compassionate.
Asuna and Anna Crab.
Oh no! Screw that! Screw that! Like, okay, okay, Mitsuri Konroji, or however you pronounce her name, the Love Hashra, she reminds me a lot of Sango, where, like, she can have a temper, but she is a good person at heart. Actually, now that I think about it, Sango and Mitsuri have a lot in common. Both are demon slayers. They are both demon slayers.
Yeah, bro, we've been
Alrighty.
spoiling Demon Slayer like crazy for the audience.
Hey, they're probably watching it. Hey, imagine, like, God, I work at an elementary school. I'm a janitor there, and the kids are watching Demon Slayer, and I'm all like, oh man, they're gonna cry when they see Mugen Train.
Okay,
Speaking of which, my mother and sister recently finished Mugen Train just yesterday. As a matter of fact, we've been watching Demon Slayer over Zoom, doing video calls, and I could see them holding back tears. They genuinely loved Rengoku. The dude's gonna be missed.
like go figure why I love Midget Train so much. It's just
Like, people really
that
love
guy.
Rengoku. He's definitely won over the hearts of fans. And I'm impressed too, when there's only about like 8 or 9 episodes dedicated to him. He left a really good impression, and it makes his
Yeah,
death.
like
And it's weird too, because
oh,
I would normally complain about a rushed character death, like the whole we didn't get to know him enough, like I did with Mammy and Madoka, or in the case of Shell and Akame got killed.
I
Rengoku
don't
is not that because one,
I don't
Rengoku
think
is
it
not
was.
only a character who we did get to know for 9 episodes ish, give or take, but also He serves as someone Tanjiro wanted to be like. Rengoku was confident. He was someone others looked up to, Tanjiro looked up to. He was powerful, he was kind-hearted. So not only does Rengoku dying mean that Tanjiro loses a very good ally, but it's also just like it creates this hopeless atmosphere. Tanjiro's like, if I can't be powerful like that, am I ever gonna beat Muzan? Like, it's very effective.
Oh yeah, like like I feel like you should know why I'm pretty biased towards that arc because I really do believe that guy is a likable dude. And
Like
also felt,
Rengoku, like there's no question, he has won over the hearts of many fans, and honestly, I
also
don't blame
like
him. I don't blame them.
are you really gonna tell me Muzan isn't cool? Of course he is.
Yeah, honestly, not only is Muzan cool, but I mean, take Akaza, upper rank 3, the demon who
Yeah.
killed Rengoku. Like,
Oh yeah, that was
even
awesome.
he,
That was
even
really
he has won over the hearts of fans. I mean, I was convinced people were gonna hate him because he killed
yeah.
Rengoku, but when you realize that Akaza is actually not nearly as like battle hardy as the like okay, he is still battle hardy, but he's not nearly as sadistic as the other demons. You kind of feel bad for him. I mean, literally, first episode of Entertainment District Arc, Akaza goes to Muzan, and Muzan berates him for not killing the people on the train. Like, and Akaza succeeded in killing Rengoku, and Muzan tells him, all you did was dispose of a mere cockroach, and proceeds to berate him. Like, and Akaza, you can see Akaza, he is fucking terrified of Muzan. All the demons are scared of him. I mean, we saw how Muzan killed all the lower ranks except for Ruby and Enmu. Akaza does not want to get on Muzan's bad side. Hantengu in like the upper rank meeting in the start of Swordsmith was like, "Please forgive us." Like Muzan is a very strict and commanding leader. They really want to make him feel like, for the lack of a better term, a demon.
Yeah.
And this is a really good villain right here. I wish we got to see a little bit more of him before Infinity Castle, but like they're doing a really good job of building him up even without like him being in battle. And I think that's actually better for Muzan. It's a
Yeah.
tease, like it's a tease to have the villain just hide out after all this time. You know what? Muzan's a lot like Naraku, where we're not gonna get a lot of direct confrontations with him, but you can just tell this dude is fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Uh, all right.
Um.
Well, we should probably close up our thoughts on FMAO 3 since we have reached about the hour mark of our video. So, is there anything
Oh
else you want to say?
yeah. FMEO free obviously just ends at the Cornello arc, right?
You know what I meant. This arc, the Cornell arc of O3. Like, let's try and wrap up our thoughts now. So
The Cornello
overall,
arc is like bad, though. Like it's just bad. It's just mad. It's got that guy who's like that that guy who's like a cult leader, and it's just so on the nose.
I mean, and that's kind of the thing, Tower of Conviction is like that in Berserk, where Mosgus is just the evil guy who uses religion. I will say, though, and maybe I'm simple to please, there really is something cathartic about it in its simplicity. I mean, like
Okay.
yes, it's a lot like other arcs, where like it's pretty simple. There's a clear villain, a clear objective. Something's going on, heroes go to stop it. It's probably like you could probably compare this to something like a Superman comic issue, and I would not exactly blame you, but I don't really mind simplicity. Being simple can be fine. You don't need to innovate to be good, and also just because some series might innovate doesn't guarantee you're gonna be good. Evangelion. Like, I
Yeah,
think that's one of the
that's
biggest
useless.
misconceptions ever. Like, people saying innovation is the same thing as good. It
When
isn't always that simple.
honestly, it's funny how people even call that a mecha anime because I'm like, what even is it?
Like, they barely even use the Ava units. Fight scenes are pitifully short in Evangelion.
Literally, like, I'm pretty sure it's literally just like episode 19 or whatever, and
It's like
that's
it's like, oh my god, it's so dumb. It's like it's a
Like,
psychological series. It's a psychological
dude,
series, no doubt about that. It's also got a bit of an apocalypse feeling, but like, there's so much stuff Evangelion does not explain. There's a lot of religious symbolism and all that, and like, okay, if you know it, you know it, sure. But for those who don't know it, like, it does not hurt to explain so I can figure
yeah,
out what the hell is going on. Like, did I care about
yeah.
Shinji? Not exactly. I mean, I'll say I feel bad for him, but by like episode 4, where it's clear he doesn't change, I'm
Well,
like,
yeah.
screw this.
The thing I have is like, yeah, even though it's like, yeah, sure, of course I feel bad for Shinji. It's a horrible thing for anyone to go through it. I'm
Yeah, it's
just
like
like,
he
yeah,
has he has
yeah,
he has a justifiable reason
but
to be depressed.
hold on,
Go ahead.
that doesn't mean it's well written. That
Yeah,
that
it's like
that doesn't mean
it's the same problem as Elephant League. Characters are sad, they stay sad, they keep being sad. Like, this is not character writing. It's a fake grab. It's a facade. It's a cheap ploy at fake, I repeat, fake drama that tries to make me care, and I don't. Like,
you know,
03, this is good drama. Evangelion?
yeah.
No. And honestly, screw Asuka. I absolutely despise Asuka Langley fucking Soryu, one of the
Well,
worst female characters I've ever seen written in anime, and people simp for her because of course they do. And like,
oh
and
yeah, well,
I like to say, this is coming from a guy who likes tsunderes. So when I'm
I
saying I hate
also
Asuka, let it be known, Asuka is how not to write a tsundere.
like
Ugh.
I was just like, oh yeah, Asuka is probably the only one who got a decent progression to her arc, but even then it's just Shinji, Shinji, Shinji. What?
And
Wait,
like and
what?
like and that's the thing, like, Asuka, if they wanted to focus on Asuka, like, they could have made her work. They could have made her work. I'm not denying that, like, the potential was there, but because they didn't tap
I
into the
don't
potential, it makes it all the more infuriating. Like, literally, Asuka gets her like mind snapped in like episode like 20 or
like,
something, and she's just in a hospital bed for the rest of the series. Like, what the fuck is this?
dude, like there are a lot of tsunderes I care about, right? And like Asuka's not one of them.
Yeah, like, you wanna know who's a good tsundere? You wanna know who's a good tsundere?
But
Inuyasha. And he's a dude!
you know, that's actually a good. Even though it's funny, see when you first mentioned that to me, it was like that actually makes sense.
He is a tsundere. He is.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he
yes,
is.
tsunderes can be males. I don't care what people
Yeah.
say.
Oh,
Tsunderes
of
can
course,
be males. A character type
Flynn.
applies to both characters.
Flynn. Who said they don't? Like, I'm surprised that it's not brought up more often for males.
Yeah, it's like I feel like a lot of people are overlooking that there are a decent handful of male tsunderes that are. I honestly think there's a lot more well-written male tsunderes than female tsunderes. Although, to be fair
Yeah.
to that, I have only seen like a few series that actually have male tsunderes, so the
There
the
is also
competition is a little bit weak, but still.
so like from what I've seen, there are also some misunderstood ones. I feel so that might be
Like, you want us, Inosuke,
might be
he's a tsundere, technically speaking. From Demon Slayer, he's technically a tsundere.
Inosuke's nice.
Yeah, he's, the bored child, he might be really battle horny and all that, like, I have to be strong, Lord Inosuke, Hashibira, King of the Mountain is coming through, like, and that's the thing with Inosuke. There's actually a decent lot of character growth. He goes from being a really muscle-headed buffoon to actually being a really nice addition to the team. I really like how they're showing his behavior slowly and very gradually improving. I mean, he goes from being someone who just wanted to fight strong demons to being someone who actually learned to care about his teammates as well as wanting to be stronger for not just his own sake, but others too. Like, this is actually a really good character arc for him.
Yep. So the anything else?
I think I'm good for now. Anything else you want
Uh,
to say before I stop the recording?
okay, so I'll start to give my conclusionary spiel about Cornello. Um, my actual one. That other one was a joke.
I know, I could tell, but I do appreciate you
Uh,
clarifying for the audience.
so the Cornello arc. Okay, I think. Okay, see the last time I did this, it's funny because like I went and I wrote the first episode off just because I was like, oh well, I'm sick of looking at it. So I feel like that clouded my judgment at the time.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I'm a lot more confident and um like
Yeah, now that you've
more
kind
in
of,
the moment
gotten
thinking.
your brain to refresh a little bit, you're a little more
Yeah.
open-minded and rational.
Yes. And I do actually think that the first episode of 2003 is amazing. I think it's one of the best first episodes in anime, actually, to be honest
I
with you.
honestly, part of me kind of agrees because, like, I watch it and it does a really good job at getting my attention. There's very few first episodes in anime that really get my attention. The few I can think of are, besides '03, that is, Gunnex Sword, Demon Slayer. There's a lot of, like, okay, I have seen really good first episodes in anime, but FMAO 3 really sticks out to me because it's a slower paced first episode, but a really good one. And that's a rare praise I can give
I
right there.
will say, though, for the record, I did not actually get into O3 with the first episode, even though I do think it is amazing.
I
I
remember
think
you
it
told me
is.
this story. I remember you told me like episode 3 just it just glued your
Episode
eyes to the
3,
TV. We
yeah.
said that in the old video actually.
Episode 3 is where like I really started to get into it. I was all like, oh yeah, I'm really getting into the engaging writing stuff now.
And
And I think the
honestly,
reason
it
for
should.
that,
It does a good job at fascinating the audience. And with you watching it, I absolutely can see why. It just made you want to take your eyeballs and glue them to the screen. Because honestly, like, even though I did not grow up with '03, okay, well, I
I didn't
did, but I
either.
didn't remember it. But, like,
I didn't
you know,
either.
hmm?
I, I didn't either.
Oh, gotcha. But it's really funny because, like I've told you before, in the sibling anime tradition, my brother, sister, and me, we all watched anime. Full Metal Alchemist, both '03 and Brotherhood, was one of the series I did not sit down to watch with my brother and sister. Same thing with Naruto. My brother and sister watched Naruto. I didn't. I just felt like I wouldn't be into either of these series. And well, look at me now. I literally made a Naruto classic arc rank plus fillers tier list. So the fact that I both like these series, it kind of makes me wish I actually did sit down and watch these with my brother and sister, because it would have made for a very interesting topic, but no use dwelling on the past. Seeing as, well, I've watched it
So
now, and now I know what I missed out on.
I've so like so like the reason for me getting into episode 3 more is actually because like as good as like, episode 1 is, it's kind of just a random part in that story, whereas in episode 1 3 I get like the entire context of like
Yeah, like,
how things are
episode
moving
1
and
has
stuff.
a lot of questions, whereas episode 3 gives a lot of answers.
Yeah, but also leaves a lot of
Yeah, it
questions
brings
in
up
the
new
process
questions in
while
its
still
wakes, of
intriguing.
course.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it hooks me to keep watching, which is great. And intrigue, I love intrigue. It's my favorite thing actually.
Hey,
So
that's what people look for in storytelling, being
yeah,
intrigued.
yeah. So like, and then as for episode 2, I do not think it is good as good as episode 1. Although to be honest, the later half of the episode, I don't know, it can be kind of hype at times when I see all these alchemic experiments and just moving around, and I love the animation too. That's
And honestly, like,
fantastic.
I'll be honest, the ending of episode 2 actually feels really heartfelt. I mean, Ed telling
Yeah.
Rose, you have 2 feet, walk on them. There is actually
Oh yeah, the
something
leg
really, like,
thing.
there's something really nice about that.
Yeah, and it also ties in all three using a lot of hands and feet imagery.
Yeah,
Pointed
with,
out by like goat
Ed's,
Jesus and stuff.
body and all that.
Again, I'll mention the reason why I'm mentioning Goat Jesus' name when it comes up is because I don't want to look like I'm plagiarizing. Because a lot of people have went and unfortunately they've went and copied it to the point where it's like said by literally everyone now. So it's like I'm just I'm just pointing out that he said that. That doesn't mean I agree with him by default.
All
Um,
right.
but
Point taken.
just so like really quick, episode 2 is good. I would give it more. Okay, I would give the first episode. The funny thing is, he also said this, but to be honest, like I didn't used to think this, but I ended up kind of with this myself, where I'm like, episode 1 would be a 9 for me, episode 2 would be a 7, because I think that episode 2, while good, is just a little too fast paced for my liking.
Yeah, like it's
Um,
very hard to follow up on what was already a really good episode. So that like there's only so high you can raise the bar before expectations start to become a
so
little bit unrealistic after all.
So I think I would view Cornello as one of those very, very top of the 7 tier for me, as a whole for me, the Cornello arc.
Yeah,
It's
if I were
good,
to like
but
rank
could have been better.
sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying it's good, but could have been better.
Yeah, I do my rankings on like a letter ranking, S, A, B, C, D, F, etc.
Of course.
If I were to put like, the Cornello arc anywhere, I'd probably put it in like the B tier, kind of that range-ish, because like I like what's
Yeah,
here. However, obviously with it being like, a first episode, it's not gonna be like soaring up the ranks. But it's still really like it's still impressive for a first impression. And I think that's
yeah.
alone good enough for me.
I will say, I also do think episode 2 being that way in the first place did make it like more like because I do remember like as soon as the episode 2 came and it was like the animation, it just it's very watchable. I'm never I never want to turn it off or anything like that, and
Yeah,
that's a good
and
thing.
that's the thing, both episodes are great. Just because episode 2 isn't as like,
Yeah.
cohesive as episode 1, it's still a good time. And the fact that you don't want to drop it is proof.
So I gave it a high 7. Quint gave it a B rank, I believe.
Yes. Correctamundo.
Well, Quint, we're done.
Alrighty then, y'all. I'm Quinn866. Have a good one, and Katakombros, say something before I stop the recording.
Yeah, Cornello sucks. I don't like him.
Alright.